progress.
Okay, I want to welcome you to the Community Preservation Committee meeting on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025, here at Town Hall. You want to do the reading first, or do we do the attendance first?
I'll do the reading first. This is to formally advise that as required by General Law, Chapter 38, Sections 18 through 25, and pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Act of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on June 16, 2021, as extended by Chapter 2 of the Act of 2023, the Yarmouth Community Preservation Committee will hold a public meeting on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025 at 3 p.m., Yarmouth Town Hall, Room A. The public is welcome to attend either in person or via the alternative public access provided. And I don't see anybody on Zoom at the moment. Judy and David are not going to be able to join us today, so we are now all present.
Okay, should we take attendance?
You can.
Okay,
Do that, yeah.
I'd like to go around the table, take attendance.
Debbie Clucky, yeah.
Lou Kraus here.
Lee Hamilton here.
Paul Huggins here.
Joanne Crowley present.
Christine Mozzigliano present.
Okay. All right, so everybody got a copy of the warrant articles in the packet that was emailed, but does anybody want a hard copy? I have a couple of hard copies.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she's giving me
Something here. You guys need them as well?
Paul and I do, because I gave mine to Julie.
Oh, okay, all right.
I got mine. But she'll give you a hard copy in case you want to. Reading material.
Oh, did it come out via email? I didn't see it.
Okay.
She sent it via email. I did not see it.
Yeah.
Date yet to appear.
That first page is just, a draft of a memo to the Board of Selectmen that will continue to tweak after we go through this, but I thought probably we want to mention Gary, of course, and the numbers are.
And of course, it will be very helpful whenever we have the date to appear before the selectmen to talk about our articles. If each, member of the committee would be there in case there's any questions. Usually they don't have, but it's helpful.
No.
So that's the first, basically 3 pages are the memo to the select board with this table for them to kind of use as a reference guide for all of the applications. And then the fourth page, Article X, CPA estimated review. That's where the actual draft warrant articles begin.
I have a couple of comments on the memo. You want to start there?
Absolutely.
There's just a couple of language changes that I can,
Mhm.
suggestions, we can go through those after. It's about the money. A couple of things. One, I was only looking at the last sheet that Jen had done for us.
Okay,
And I noticed that on the last sheet that Jen had done for us for the Red Sox YD player safety, the number was 69,123. Now, it seems to be a different number. It's, where is it? 62,018.
and that is, I think the 69 was wrong. Because I think their application and the vote. Which I have the votes. Where do I have the votes? I think the vote was actually for the 62.
Okay, that's on, again, on the sheet that we got at our last meeting from Jen, it was listed as 69,123. The January, which we voted on. We voted on those two bottom line numbers.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because we voted on it as
The
it was.
1.78 million and the 1 point. I'm sorry.
Did you not put anything by chance?
Uh, even if I did though, the that we got I was at the meeting on the 15th.
Right.
Those numbers said 69 and now it's
And then-
62. And
I changed my list.
yeah, but I'm saying.
I understand.
Yeah. So I'm just asking, this is the one we got today. Was the original, I'm just wondering. What's the right number? That's the bottom line. And then I have another question on the ancient cemetery, which I do think is a typo. The list of, on the selectmen's memo.
Yeah,
That number is listed as 28,283 in the box. That is a typo. Instead of being 23,283, which ties out to Jen's most recent sheet. Which is what it was.
So the
all along.
CPA should be 23.
This 8 cemetery preservation, we've had all along is 23,283, but in the memo to
Memo.
the select board, it's listed at 28. I think it's a typo.
yeah,
I think it's just a typo.
Yeah.
The 8 should be a 3. So that's easy enough, but
yeah. But the other
the
one,
the player safety has always been
62.
well, it was 69 the last time we met. Might have even been 60, maybe it was 69. '69 when at our meeting before that, when Jen handed out this highlighted one.
oh, yeah,
So we just need to know
yeah,
whatever the number is, but it's going to affect all of the, it's going to affect the
other numbers that come
in the
through.
selectmen,
Yeah.
the total.
Yeah.
And also at the meeting, we said that the open space reserve was dropping to 215,396. And that's still holding at 225. Even though in the warrant, it's correct. The warrant has it as 225. But on this sheet, we got today, it's still listed as 225.
Anything else with multiple spreadsheets, I mean, just take a look.
Yeah,
Okay,
Make sure it's all consistent. Thank you for finding.
no, that's okay. I'm just.
No,
right.
You know-
Not now,
you know
not,
how
I know.
not
I
then.
can't tell exactly.
So
I'm horrified.
it's kind of dated one date with comparison, and it flagged to me that because we made the hand adjustment on the 215/396 at our last meeting.
Yep.
That was a recalculation. So anyway, I think we need to get. I presume Jen is producing, sort of, in some way.
Jen set the format. And then been going back and forth because anyway, we've been
Yeah,
working
okay.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been working.
Yeah.
Great.
And then the one that's in the center of the table today is actually an update. I discussed it with Jennifer. But it's another update from what we've talked about.
Okay, and that's the
So
one
I'd
I'm
like to
looking at.
talk about that.
That's what, okay. So,
And that's a big change. That's just a big clarification.
um, so I'm wondering if this is on some kind of an Excel spreadsheet. Can you guys plug in the right numbers so we can get a sheet to vote on? And does the selectmen's memo have to go on the 7th?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No.
It's fine.
Right.
Okay.
I'm just keeping it up.
If we would need a new meeting to get the numbers right.
It's
I
the,
think I'm sorry, Don Maria, I was gonna request a meeting because we do have a couple of appraisals that we'd like to utilize the CPA administrative funds for. And so I was hoping that we could schedule that for next week, which would be a good time to finalize. What we would use, we'll need to send a draft version to the town admin's office. Make sure they know it's draft. They're trying to build the warrant. Or I can leave the room and whip up the spreadsheet.
you vote for that?
But I still need the appraisal.
Right.
Yes,
But yeah, I mean, if you want, or do you want to whip
I
up the
just wanna
spreadsheet
know
and then
what do you
talk about
think?
this?
I'm happy to make the change.
Yeah.
Sounds like the ancient cemetery is almost definitely a typo, but the YD Red Sox players safety. I guess I'm not clear on which number it should be, what was in the application
and it did
Yeah.
move around.
okay.
If I recall, they came back a couple of times.
So we would just look back at the minutes where you made the vote.
Yeah, and I had
With
them
that.
with me. Yeah.
But I'm happy to go fix the spreadsheet so that we can finalize the one.
Yeah, here we go. Because that was on Lady Red Sox. This one is just
I knew I should.
way too small.
I had that in my. hand.
62,018.
Let me bring my.
And I don't
November
Mine did
20th.
not come under here.
All right, so it was November 20th meeting where we voted YD Red Sox Player Safety Project. Motion made by Joanne, seconded by Debbie to approve up to $62,017.50 for the Player Safety Project, with the condition that an application be submitted to the Dennis CPC. At the request of staff, the motion was amended as follows. Joanne Crowley, seconded by Debbie Clark. The committee voted 7-0 to approve up to $62,018 for Player Safety Project, with the condition that they apply to Dennis CPC. So it's 62018.
So the figure that's in the current handout.
It's okay.
Correct.
Unless when they came back,
Right, that's.
I don't, that was November. Didn't they come back?
The only other votes were, the next vote was on December 18th.
Right.
Well, I think we were asking questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that changed any of the, let's just check those December 18th minutes quickly. Because I know when the votes were. Yeah, there was only a meetings. Station Ave Playground, Revolutionary War Monument, budget review. Those I think are the only 3 dates where there were votes. The 13th, November 20th, and December 18th. I can check December 4th though, maybe. Budget review. Staff updates, meeting minutes. So I don't,
January?
well, we got the meeting minutes of January 15th in your packet. I'll pull them up here too.
It wasn't on January 15th. We voted on the totals.
Yeah,
Totals. And that meeting had it at 60. The 69.
oh, because that was, what was in that memo.
Oh,
Well,
that was their request.
yeah.
That was their request. And remember, then they came back once they had voted on the, if I'm hearing what you just said, we voted on the 62,018. So the 62,018 is the right number.
Was the higher number their
Their-
original?
their
Original.
application- On the original
Okay.
application, way back.
Oh, I think they got
Didn't they
The
get,
fence, another quote on the
Yeah,
fence,
something,
yeah, that brought it down.
yeah, something.
Yep.
So I can fix that spreadsheet
Yeah.
easily, but if I may, Christine, I wanted to run through the Chase Brook Park warrant article, because when we made the original request to the committee, it was a two-part request. We have funds on hand that were appropriated in 2017 or 2019. And those funds were for the acquisition and improvements at the Yankee Village site. That is only 275 Route 28, just that one property. We've gone through the acquisition and we've kind of been doing the permitting. So we have spent some money on the site improvement. There's a balance today that's not contracted out of something like $368,000. way that article was originally drafted, we may only use those funds at 275 Route 28.
Right.
As you know, the master park plan includes 261, 275, and 281 Route 28, the three parcels, Yankee Village and the two pocket parks on either side. The original request was $740-something thousand, and the committee discussed it and upped that amount to add 10% additional contingency on it, and that's how we got to the 820,000 number.
Mhm.
Now, in order to make a change to that original Yankee Village article, we need to do one of two things. We would either need to revise that article itself so that we could use that money across the three sites, or
I don't think you can do that.
we fold it in to the 820 and increase that amount to the number I have here. That I didn't do a total on the column. It's like 1.8.
Yeah.
It's $1.18 million. You add 820,000 and 368,755. What
I think previously Gary was very clear that we have to keep the money separate across the three parcels. It's just an accounting exercise, you know.
but I think that
You can apportion the new money
any way we want.
to the new park,
Yeah,
but that original
but this is the thing.
has to
It's,
be for the middle portion only.
no, I understand, but what we would do, and I think what you would want to do as a condition, is condition it that we're going to return that money to the CPC. And it would go back at the end of the calendar year, or end of the fiscal year, and that would go back into the undesignated fund as part of the year-end closeout.
Now, the park grant was for acquisition only.
Correct.
Other funding was for the improvements.
Correct. And we've used some of it. We've been careful with our accounting, and we break out every bill by the three parcels.
Were any
Which is difficult.
grants received for the improvements of the middle?
The park grant. Park grant was for acquisition and improvements.
And improvements? See, that's why I say it can only be used in the middle. You can't,
But
I
the
don't
ac-
think you can commingle it.
I don't think we are commingling it. We aren't commingling it.
Yes, you
Because the
are.
acquisition.
You're saying you want to put it all into one pocket. Aren't you? I just want to be clear on it, yeah.
I'm requesting that you increase the amount of the new appropriation to $1.18 million. And that we will return the money that was appropriated at the annual town meeting previous, the 2017 or 20, I can't remember the dates. I'm happy to run it by council, Christine.
Yeah,
but-
I'm not an accountant, but it kind of sounds like fuzzy numbers to me, you know, I just want to be careful. That if you say money was appropriated for a certain thing,
We got a $400,000 grant from the park,
right,
and
but it wasn't just for acquisition, it was for improvements only, so if
it was for
anything
acquisition.
left over from the.
It was for acquisition or site improvement. So I think from an accounting point of view, we have closed out the park grant. Park grant went towards acquisition. The CPA money was used for site improvements.
I just want to think like these,
Well, I
appreciate your
clear too,
thoughts.
but to tell you the truth, I think it would be helpful to me anyway, if what you just said was in writing.
Okay,
would
yeah,
go
I
and study it a
understand.
little bit.
I'm sorry, it's a fluky day.
All right, well,
That's all.
it's okay. You could have had a good day, it still would have been. good. But the thing is, and then maybe you could touch upon the question having to do with the legality.
Yep,
of doing
okay.
it. That would be good for me.
Okay.
So can we get a meeting next week? From
Oh.
you guys, I'd
You
appreciate
mean what I
it.
said, creating a meeting?
No, the ask for
Well, we
additional
need-
money from these people creates another meeting.
Yeah, because then we can look at, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay,
Definitely.
happy to.
I understand that
I
the
can see
picture,
you nodding.
you're gonna have an appropriation that's up here.
Yeah.
That we know we're never gonna use.
Exactly.
And we're, at the end of the year, we're gonna take that chunk of the 386. That because of accounting requirements, we had to add it up. And then you're gonna give it back to us.
Right. It's, and to be honest, I was going betwixt and between on when we were talking about it, Don Marie and I, and anyone else that would listen. Because in a way, so having the Yankee Village money, the old money, be designated only for Yankee Village makes, quite honestly, paying bills and accounting for the bills that come in. So if we buy, we're gonna have to detail out how many square feet of sidewalks happen on the Yankee Village site on 275 versus all the others, rather than just paying the price for the sidewalk. We're gonna have to keep that accounting. So, but on the flip side too, now the request is over $1 million and it's, psychologically a much bigger nut,
Right, and it's gonna draw
more attention.
attention.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll try to write it up and do that and
Do a
we'll.
nice diagram with arrows.
Yeah. and I remember.
There we go.
And let them close the town so you can do that at town hall. And
Right,
if you get out, I get a key. So,
Okay,
okay.
I got the code.
Oh.
we got the code.
Yeah.
I just have a concern that if something is sites. Shuffling the numbers around, it makes it okay. I just wanted to.
No, and I don't know, I'll talk to council, I don't know
Yeah.
if we need to, have an extra article that says we're closing out the North Dakota article. The old,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
and put it
What are the
back.
proper
Yep,
procedures?
happy to.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
see
So
what
if you
I'm saying?
if you close out that old article,
Mm-hmm.
it just frees up that money to
See, but-
Into
but that's
undesignated.
what happens. Anyways, so example, Parker's River Bridge, okay? They closed out their accounting. They're done paying bills. They are 100% sure they're done. That money that is gonna come back. Now, we don't have that in writing. Town meeting doesn't vote on that. They don't need to vote on that. Because that happens at the end of the year in the closeouts that we've talked about. So there were other projects that we weren't spending all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna get returned on, July 1. That money will close out. We'll say, Jen, close out this account, that account, this other one. And whatever's left in balances will get transferred into the undesignated reserve. That's my simple understanding of it.
Yeah.
And Jennifer's kind of helped us.
Well, it's two
Understand the
parts. There.
different
One is the
timeframe.
400,000 is closed out.
Right.
The second part is that the money previously allocated, that was site specific, now will be for the general park. Is that what you're saying?
No, no, because I'm saying. Imagine we have, the way that I think it works, that I imagine this works, and I think I'm right. Is that we have a bank account with, I'm just gonna keep numbers very simple. I'm thinking on my feet. So say we have a bank account with $10,000 in it, and I'm asking you for $8,000 of it for a project. And I took out a previous loan from you for $5,000. I spent 4 of it, and I'm gonna put back 1. So I asked for 10, or you had 10, I asked for 8 at the town meeting. So then you'd have a balance after town meeting of $2,000. Only I'm closing 1 out, so the next day, we're gonna have 8,000. I know it's confusing, and a picture would be way better.
But the way you're explaining it, it's only one person, it's not 3 parcels. It's more complicated than what you're saying.
All right, I will, you know what, I'm gonna try to write it out
Write
to
it up and-
clarify it a little bit more. I don't think it has to be super complicated.
No,
but
Yeah,
no,
try to
and then
answer
we'll
all your
just talk
questions.
through.
I just want to make sure that
Yeah, what I
agree
wanted
with you.
make sure you understood is,
It's more than one step. It's 2 or 3 steps.
well, it's two. And I'm gonna stop talking about it. And
Okay,
I'll-
one step is
I'll
that
clarify.
400 is closed out, and that was the second step is that you want to return some money. And the third step is now you want to use it for all 3 parcels. So that's,
I'm taking money
Three
and I'm
things.
applying it to all 3 parcels. That's one
am I
project.
wrong? And how are you thinking?
I'm trying to understand.
Just gotta concentrate.
Really good idea to make this into one continuous.
Isn't
park.
this easier?
Yes.
The park idea is good.
Great idea. It's a
Nobody's trying to cheat anyone.
It's
I
a
just want to make sure
project.
it's copacetic.
No, and, you know, and I'm gonna say this here, you know, we were lucky, we've already got a grant through and, but it's federal money. So we're really kind of worried. We don't know what'll happen.
Oh, yeah.
So we
Of course,
really
yes.
need this CPA money to keep the project going.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Got that?
Oh, yeah.
You got them all
Oh,
down?
yeah.
I,
Thank you.
for you, if we need to revote the Yankee Village article, I'll leave it off and then we'll add it back on.
Okay.
I'll assume we're not gonna move the money, say so. And then, so we may have an update, I'll go update the chart right
Okay.
now, and then you may get another update next week with the Yankee Village one.
Sounds good.
And
I'd rather
on
be
the
safe
chart
than
now,
sorry.
Yeah,
Just
this
be
this
careful.
column is right. The request was.
If that money was site specific.
No,
request
you're right,
was
thank you,
59.
good.
That was the.
Please don't read that.
I'll just go back 69.
Yeah, that was the request.
Yeah.
And then the
That
other
one's
is
wrong.
clearly a typo.
That one's right. I'm
And
gonna
then-
double check.
Yeah, and then
That's
the
easy.
215 one.
No, it should be that one right here.
Yeah.
I should have said,
Oh, no, oh,
it's, a few clicks in.
I hear you. I get it.
Yeah. And you have another week to think of.
Let's hope we don't get in trouble.
Just bring your pillow and.
We'll be right back.
I mean, we had such a problem because one parcel was land bank, the second parcel was CPA, and then Yankee Village is in the middle. Yeah, the monies are coming out of different pools and parcels, you know, it's,
You gotta be very careful.
it's,
Yeah, but there should be plenty of help here in town with understand the legalities of this and all, and not rely on volunteers to make decisions that might be wrong, you know.
well, I mean, I tried
To clearly state what the
I
possibility.
tried to take the numbers presently presented and do it the old way. And I could not,
Whoa.
I could not connect the numbers.
We have paper towels, actually.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah, but that's just.
I couldn't connect the numbers. If you do it the old way or the new way, it should still, thank you,
You're welcome.
come out the same. Here we go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm good, I'm good.
I supplied her with that.
Okay.
We can vote on the minutes later. Okay, so where are we here?
All right, so the memo to the select board, of course, will be updated with the correct numbers on their table. The,
Can I just make a?
Oh, yeah.
Suggestion for the, on that. I think what, and this is just editorial, but, it's been my practice that when you have a number, you usually put in parentheses the actual number after it. So after the 7, the 2, and the 3, typically you put in parentheses the number 7, 2, and 3. May not have town E.B. White, protocol, but, and then I'd like to suggest that that sentence, the second sentence there, or the second paragraph, The remaining total funding request, we know that number, we don't know what that number is. But I'd like to suggest that we just go to the next paragraph that said, the committee reviewed applications, interviewed applicants, well, and at our meeting, I'll give you this.
Okay.
What were you referring to?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay. At our meeting on, which would be next week,
Mm-hmm.
the committee voted to fund a total of X. And I think we also need to include that 215 for the open space reserve, which isn't mentioned here in the. cover.
Yeah, good point. Yep.
And then, we just attach the stuff. And the cover memo, I don't think needs to talk about, kind of where it comes from. It's just the total. How much money are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open space,
Next meeting is what, the 12th?
the 12th. Yep. On
Here you go.
12/25. Great. Thank you. Between all these notes and recordings, should be able to get it right.
So I would like to clarify something,
Sure.
not throwing something into. The different committee representatives should be at the select board when these warrants come forward. But we're not gonna be presenting the individual warrants at the town meeting, correct?
Correct. To the best of my understanding, town meeting is going to continue on the streamlining process where fewer speakers, presenting information is the way they're going. And if there's questions, then if we've got, or Bill Scott really has the backup slides and further information can come forth with, but
So who was doing the main presentation, Christina? Christina?
Or whoever we elect to chair, whatever you want. I'm here until town meeting.
I thought we discussed though that in terms of PPC that this, it could be a streamlining deal, where you're gonna run through them unless it's a question. As helpful to the CPC effort as kind of just presenting each one and almost like a, called Rick Bishop was here and he called it, thing, but
right, the public relations kind of thing. Right.
So when do we decide that we're not gonna do that?
Well, there hasn't been a lot of talk about the actual format of town meeting, but it is generally run by the town administrator's office.
Yeah.
So we
So
can,
they want to streamline.
right, they won't like to keep it to 3 hours or less. So we can advocate if you guys want to get up and pitch.
Well, it was never a big deal. I mean, all you did was get up and say, if the Conservation Commission would like the X number of dollars to apply to Phragmites management or something, or somebody else that, for the Taylor Bray Farm Barn, or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, it wasn't ever any big, long thing.
Well, and I think the other thing too is it's morphed also since COVID, when nobody was supposed to be moving around and using microphones and all that stuff. And so I think having new administrators and the COVID practice is it's just one of the things that withered away. But yeah, if you guys all want to get up and do your individual categories.
So I see
Okay.
it, I, whatever the group would like to do, but I also don't want to be just kind of railroad into doing it the way they don't want to sit there for 3 hours, It's not acceptable because also, it's a way of communicating with the community about what's going on. And you just say, oh, you have a list of things and are there any questions? No questions. Well, the reason there might not be any questions is because people don't know enough to ask the questions because it hasn't.
Open space reserve. So-
That's always the case. But I mean, a lot of times too, the stuff you get worried a little bit about, okay, who's gonna do this? And all right, I'll read it about the, whatever conservation or historic or whatever the case may be. And you're anticipating maybe to a degree, a little bit of pushback. But most of the time that doesn't happen.
Right.
No, and if it does happen, it's a quick answer.
And 99% of the time, whatever you think the question is going to be about, or whatever the hot topic is going to be, it's not. It's something else entirely. And all of a sudden you spend 20 minutes talking about something that nobody knew was going to have 20 minutes worth of discussion.
Right?
But
Again, it just seems to me that the essence of town meeting also is to get for the town to vote on the articles and also to kind of get a sense of the hopes of the community. I mean, you don't just ram this stuff through, and I don't think that's probably unfair to say that, but just to speed it up for them. Take the speeding up. I don't know.
Well, I always thought that as each article is reviewed by the select board, that perhaps that is the place for people to ask questions, so that by the time they get to town meeting, their questions have been answered and town meeting will proceed faster.
Yeah, I know. Ideally, that would be nice, but a lot of people, well, first of all, a lot of people don't go to town meetings, and never mind go to a meeting prior to that to find out something about a project in town,
because for the past few years, we have been doing this town meeting. The select board has.
Really, I guess I've missed
Yeah.
Yep.
Too, and I can remember,
Yep.
So- and every year I would present the affordable housing warrants. And that was after COVID. I think I've been on this committee 3 years now.
And since then, I think what they do is they presented all the articles, and then if there was a question, the individual committee members would answer the question.
So we always had a script. We always had a
had-
script and we would read it. I never wrote it, to be given something, and thought, you read this.
Marie prepared
So
it
you
for
read
us.
it, you read it, and if there was a question, there was a designated person to answer the question.
Right.
It might have been Gary, it might have been one like Jeff Colby, something like that, Remember any big long to do about any of these things, but most of the time, I think people are very appreciative of the fact that work is being done to apply money to areas that improve the community. That sort of thing. And they must have a sense that we're pretty careful.
So-
But the shortcut, I don't know.
I don't know either. Not that I'm anxious to get up and do the whole, affordable housing thing, but I thought that some of that I'm representing on this committee, the Community Housing Committee. So I'm a member of this committee, but representing that committee and what we're presenting and the warrants that affect housing. So the streamlining presentation this is the desire of the town administrator?
That's who kind of runs the meeting, the town administrator's
Okay.
office. So if you have something, or you want to come up with something, for me to give to them and let them know because if you've seen the town meeting where they assign the articles amongst themselves of who's going to do which article, we'd want to have our suggestion to them before that meeting. So we can say, oh, when you get to the CPC articles, Christine is going to do the housekeeping article, and Leah's going to do the housing article. I mean, however we split it out, that's how we did it traditionally, right? And Debbie can do the recreation stuff, or however you want to split it out. But if you want to make those decisions today, then I can
But I mean,
make them aware of it.
that's pretty.
Right.
Not always being, is a request.
No, it's just that we get the town meeting, pre-packets, and that's how it's all been assembled by the assistant town administrator.
Yeah.
So we just go, okay, if that's how you want to do it, that's how we'll do it. If you guys want to,
It would be separate articles.
You want to be separate? Do your own?
I think it's a way of introducing the public to various categories of applications that can be made.
There should at least be a slide on each of the categories.
Oh, there will be
I mean,
usually.
This will be, each project will be listed in the warrant.
Yep, that's no different. It's just that what's happened is one of the select board will say, you know, I move Article 26, usually we're in the 20s, right? I move Article 26 is presented in the warrant, and then someone seconds it. They get the FinCom and the Board of Selectmen recommendations, and then there's an explanation. So at that point, either the town administrator can read the explanation,
Oh, no, it should be.
whoever,
Should be one of us.
it should be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It should be one of us reading the explanation. And then we would control exactly what we say.
So
Right.
that's, yeah,
But we would also present the warrant. We present the article and state that it's recommended in whoever approved at the finance or whatever, and then
Yeah, but that happens first.
right.
The
That
Board of
happens a
Selectmen has to
little,
recommend, Finance committee has to recommend, and then it comes back. And typically it's turned over to the sponsor. I'll call us the sponsor.
Yep.
And then there is an explanation. But typically we would read, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to make a motion we would read the motion on the article.
right.
Read the
And
article.
then there's an explanation.
Well, my memory is we'd say, like they all say.
I move Article
as
47.
printed in the warrant,
Mhm,
and then they say, selectmen, they say.
Yeah.
selectmen, And they say finance committee, and then.
The
explanation
Comes back to
And you
us.
say,
Yeah.
okay, this is to contribute to the playground at the station. Avenue.
It's
Right.
the explanation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
So-
can make that,
What is the streamline?
Yeah.
You want, I have no idea. What the streamlining proposal is.
Just to streamline, you just put all of the applications in one article. And then if anybody had any questions, they could ask, and but there's no individuality that way.
But it's
the
like what
committees.
they used to do, going way back to Tom George. The thing is, they'd say, there's a big article, right? And they said, the budget, I guess it was.
Oh, yeah.
Anything you
Yeah.
see, if you want to hold the
They
discussion,
pulled out.
somebody raised their hand, hold item number 6, and they do that. And then if nobody wanted a discussion, they could vote the whole darn thing right
Right.
then and
Yeah.
it's done. So it sounds like that's what they want to do with this.
I'm not sure. I think what I was gonna say at the beginning was, I think for the budget, it's fairly standard practice for towns, because there are opportunities
it's big.
along the way for the public to go to every finance committee.
Yeah.
meeting, every sports select meeting and the pre-meeting, the prep meeting, that they just put it up there and
Yeah.
that is an efficient way for the budget.
I agree.
I don't think they should be mucking with, shouldn't use that word.
No.
Oh,
That's,
it has a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
With this, because then we can walk through and talk proudly about all of the work that we did to get and the people who sponsored, people who applied are gonna be there.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
how they feel. Rick Bishop is gonna sit there and.
No, he's not, no matter what.
If they have a question, he's the
No,
guy we're gonna call
right.
and say, Rick, come up, and the Red Sox guy,
Explain your,
come up and
yeah.
tell us about the fence.
Yeah.
To me, it's almost like the selectmen are sitting up there with their fingers stuck. Hope nobody asks.
Yeah.
You gotta engage.
I don't mind it being in one article. I think in years past, were they separate article?
Well, they still are being presented as separate articles.
are.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I guess they have to be.
Well, that's still up for debate, but we did, Karen and I agreed that this is a better format
Okay,
as
yeah.
separate articles for each category.
Okay, great, great, okay.
So we're gonna have, do you want to do the housekeeping then, the first article? It's gonna be on the back of the, it's like page 4 of the select board memo.
It's on the
See
back.
that
of
one?
this.
Yeah. Oh, you got yours single, oh, cause you printed your own.
There it
There it is.
Yeah.
That's it. Yep. Oh, you got that select board memo?
I printed it at home.
No, that's the minutes.
Spread out.
I know,
How
there's
many
always
articles?
too much.
There's Article 10 and Article 20, there's multiple subsections to it. And that's it.
How do we get from 10 to 20?
Keep going. All right, so
Right?
that's page
that way.
1 of the draft memo to the select boards. Page 2 is the table for them to be able to have just a big list. And page 3 is more of the table, the big list of all our applications. Page 4, the next one is going to be Article X, CPA estimated review. Review, that should be revenue.
I was gonna, thank you.
CPA estimated revenue, which we've traditionally called the housekeeping article, and it's again being
Yeah.
reworked, again with the new finance director and proceeding, but this has been approved by Jennifer, except for that $71 million in the explanation. We just need her to confirm that figure more concretely. And we've got the email into her and we're waiting to hear back on that. But 10% CPA revenues must be set aside for each of the following purposes: community housing, 5%.
Barry always did this up front. He did this in the beginning.
Yeah, this is the.
Right,
first
this
one.
is the first CPA article. So Christine will do that. Then the next one is the affordable housing projects. You see that, Lee? We've got the Affordable Housing Trust and the Hands of Hope in that same format that we've been using. So for the trust, $370,056 would come out of the estimated revenues coming in FY 26 on July 1, and 250,000 would come out of the undesignated reserves.
Oh, we don't usually tell them all that, do we?
That's literally what's going to show up on the slide and in the book.
You just read the explanation. So
Yep.
this isn't much different than what we've done in the past.
No.
I noticed that there's only 2 articles, Article 10 and Article 20.
Oh, no, no.
No.
It's just a placeholder because we don't know what article we're going to be.
Okay.
We could
So
be,
that really is an X.
it's just an
So I meant
X.
10.
No, no.
I see. Well, that simplifies that. in my opinion.
Oh, so,
Double X.
yeah, do you?
Triple X.
Yeah. So you want to do that housing, Article XX affordable housing projects, Lee?
The,
I mean, I don't know.
the housing trust and the affordable housing. That's just one thing.
Projects A and Project B.
And it's kind of-
Our town meeting is April 29th. Tuesday, April 29th, right? That's a Tuesday, right? Yes, it is.
I have a question on the estimated revenues of 370. Is that a combination?
Which one? Oh, the
the housing?
Affordable Housing Trust?
Yeah. I mean, if open space is getting 215, which is the annual 10%,
Mm-hmm.
then how does this come up to 370?
Well, because you'd already voted.
they didn't have anything to begin with, because they was zeroed out from last year, right?
Right, but the estimated revenues, when they come in, I'm looking for it over here.
How is it?
Oh,
more
Affordable
than-
Housing Trust, because you did vote to give them $620,056. You have to give housing at least $215,000, right?
Right. So why is the number 370?
You wanna make- So you want to make that 215 instead of 370?
Well, I just don't know where the 370 came from. If 10% is, well, but the three categories are the same.
But it doesn't have to be 10%. It can be more.
Has to be this.
Isn't it that you have to either reserve 10% or spend at least 10%?
Right, so by appropriating the 370, it's being spent. The 10% plus more than that is being spent.
We've never done it.
No, that's this whole thing that Jennifer's been talking about.
Jennifer's concept is that whatever we have from estimated revenues for fiscal year 26 that we know, we want to consume all of them in all of the categories. And that's not enough for everything that we want to do. So that there's an allocation then from undesignated reserve to fill the balance.
Right.
To fill the difference. And it's a different number for every project. Some projects don't need it at all, but other ones do. And she just went through and slotted in, tried to consume as much as we could of the 101.7 million that were allocated this year.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of the allocation for this year. And then we had a whole bunch of money left over from years in the past. So that bunch of money, we then allocate to fit the request from the applicant. So it's a bit random, but it's a different way of doing it than we have in the past.
Right, instead of taking the revenue and putting it in the reserve and then taking it out of the reserve and putting it into the project. It's just taking it from the revenue and putting it into the project.
And we're splitting it into two.
What? Well, because
I'm sorry, I just don't understand why we're not treating the categories evenly.
You probably wouldn't, because each category need a different number. No? Because of what it sounds like is you get the money, it's allocated, and then you use it all up, and you go to the reserve for the remainder of that money. So
the undesignated reserve,
yeah,
or the reserve if there's a housing reserve, right?
But there
But
wasn't.
we
any.
But there wasn't.
There was no.
So it's undesignated from the undesignated. Right.
Okay.
so did you say something like all of the awards wouldn't be entirely covered by the initial allocation? You'd have to get.
Right, by the estimated revenues.
So how does that happen? Like, let's say the DOA or actually looking for, or let's take something else, something that has been awarded $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
So would you cover that $200,000 in the initial?
Right, it kind of depends, because if you look at some categories don't have, that's not the good one. If you look at the historic, right? There are like a few projects there that would meet the $215,000 minimum appropriation for historic preservation, right? There's the Methodist Church. That's 325,000. That's more than the 215.
Oh, yeah.
the monument and the Friends Meeting House, any one of those being funded straight up out of estimated revenues would meet the 10% threshold that we are required to meet.
Okay, so you meet those items first, and then all of the other ones, you're gonna go to the reserve, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and again, this was Jen's recommendations, and yeah,
But when we present the funding, we don't usually.
Right.
You got a
Because then
question?
it gets too murky and
Yeah,
I mean,
you have a
that
question
could
about the
confuse
funding.
it's confusing for me.
Like
It could be a half an hour discussion.
It's gonna have to be,
Projects that cross categories. But sometimes if you did have, Friends Meeting House, because you were only depositing that 10% into an account, we would only appropriate that much in historic reserves. But you've had projects that if you had a $500,000 project and the
You're talking
reserve
about
amount,
those
yeah, but just answer.
Yeah, no,
kind of, you, if.
I
the-
have a question.
Oh, okay.
Because I never understood this place.
But I'm just saying, you have had projects that cross categories, and you've
Yeah.
appropriated from two different
Right.
accounts. Usually a reserve for a purpose and an undesignated reserve.
Right.
all right, so does that make a little more sense? Kinda? No?
It always
Not me.
starts to make sense to me.
Not
Then
me.
we talk further.
I'll have to sleep on it.
I know.
didn't understand any of them presentation, sorry.
But as a new person, do I have this correct, that legally we're required to either reserve 10%, or in our case, 215 and some $1,000, or spend at least 10% on 3 of the categories,
Right,
right?
right,
Exactly.
right.
That's what the bottom legal line is.
Exactly.
Right. You
And that's
can't-
what we're confused about is how we're
The
putting it on a
form is
spreadsheet,
different
yeah.
Yeah.
than the sequence.
she's gonna have to be.
To understand the basic requirement.
I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, you can't take all your revenue and spend it on recreation.
Right.
Or historic. You have to divide it up evenly at a minimum level. All right, so for recreation projects then, if
Is
we,
Lee gonna be introducing the affordable housing?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes. Basically, what you have written here is all I really need for the definition.
Yeah. Yep, and it'll be up on the screen as well. Debbie, you want to do recreation?
Oh,
No, I mean, I don't know, but
um, I don't know. I think it's self-explanatory. You know, as far as what they're putting in the fence
Mhm.
and, let me see, in
You
the
know
play.
what? If you think you're not gonna be there, I can do them. Yeah, I can do them,
All right.
Right.
Yeah,
especially if you're not sure.
yeah,
And then if you are.
yeah,
and
because
if
you
you
have
really
to be
wanna
there.
do it, I will step back.
yeah, I got things in the.
I know.
Fire.
Yeah.
And
I got your back, Deb, not
that space isn't nearly as like user friendly as Mattakese was.
No.
Just don't ever sit up against the wall.
Don't sit next to the wall, don't sit in the nosebleed section.
I don't like their views.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks, Joanne, that's great. Then we've got the historic, which David isn't here today. I don't know if he has any compelling, desire.
I think I missed the meeting last time.
David is,
David
Giancopoulos.
his son.
And he's agreed to serve, but
Okay, I would.
But he
he
wasn't
needs
there
to be
for the meeting.
appointed and
I missed-
everything.
Right, he still hasn't gone through the process, so he may not be able to do it.
Sitting number.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take some of the.
You wanna, let's plan on you then, because,
Paul has a way with words, let me tell you right now.
right, and you're advocating for this opportunity. Um. And then Christine, I presume, would like to do the open space.
Yes, please.
And maybe the land bank legal balance transfer. We've talked about a few times that money
Yeah.
that's open space, land bank.
And that's Christine, right? The bunch of-
Yep. Keep,
What, did you do the housekeeping article?
yeah, that'll be Christine. Yeah. So we'll update those. And have those ready.
So if I can ask a question about this,
Mhm.
I recently this sort. So is this sort of how the space is being presented in the warrant, or would you try to be?
Yep.
And if I'm reading it, would I read anything other than what's here?
Okay, yeah.
Not, no, I mean, it should be,
But you'll know if there's other slides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing, that in case
And who will?
your simple answer doesn't suffice.
Who will develop the slide?
We'll put out-
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your homework.
I don't want-
You're.
I never liked homework.
and again, that'll be where,
I was.
That's it,
Oh, I
why?
didn't know that.
Then we left Cambridge and went to New Hampshire. Ty is good.
I just gotta check on one thing. Who's got this room? Probably
No,
FinCom has it at 6, but we won't be that
No, I
much
did high
longer.
school.
All right, so that's the draft warrant articles. Far as the conditions, because usually when I send out the letter to the applicants to let them know that what you're recommending to town meeting, I include the conditions in that letter so that they can be aware of them before town meeting.
They don't get announced at town meeting.
No.
Conditions,
Nope.
nothing.
It just is nice to let them know beforehand in case there's something that's a burden. So for the, does everybody have this, longer one? Yeah. So those are the applications with the conditions that have already been voted at those 3 meetings that we talked about a little bit earlier, the November, 2 in November and 1 in December. The trust you wanted to get twice a year updates. Hands of Hope, there are no conditions yet.
I would say on the Hands of Hope, just maybe an annual report. They usually come to us once a year. If you give us the annual report with their application, time when they appear before us, if that sounds reasonable.
Why, I'm wondering, why were we asking the trust for every 6-month report?
What they've spent the money on, how the programs are going and
How they're
what they're
spending the money.
buying.
Yeah. how
Yeah.
they're spending the money.
all right. So for Hands of Hope, annual update. And typically you have a time frame, 2 or 3 years. You'd like to see them spend the money within?
I think
Yeah.
that's reasonable.
E3, I think that's what we.
Three.
decided.
3 years?
Yeah.
Anything else?
No,
Maybe we should get a status report on the on the playground, because that's gonna probably take a
Oh.
while.
Okay, do you want to vote on them individually or as a whole, like slate of conditions for all of them?
we can just do the slate. at the
Okay.
end.
All right, so
Yeah, I just-
for
it'd be just good to know
the
how it's
school
going.
Yeah,
annual update, Yeah.
yes.
Probably it's gonna take a while.
and 3 years to
Yeah.
spend the money? And the YD Red Sox applied to Dennis CPC, anything else?
It's an annual update.
Mm-hmm.
I think we put 2 years on that, because I think they're gonna put it in.
That's their,
right
you know,
after-
yeah,
right
their
after this
intent.
Yeah.
Year,
You're probably
after
right,
this year
yeah.
is over.
So why
Okay.
don't we do the 2
2 years
Yeah.
for the YD Red Sox player safety project.
Yeah.
The Chase Brook Park Master Plan, you want to see a revised budget and a revised sources and uses table, which is I don't know,
I
I'll
think we
check.
need updates twice a year. Same as we're asking for the affordable housing trust.
I'm sorry, Christina, can you?
Updates twice a year on Chase Brook.
Um. I'm just thinking a lot about our calendar. In the fall, we're totally compressed with reviewing the
Right.
applications.
Mhm,
And that's when we have our most meetings.
right,
Between October and January. So I don't think we want to have updates squished in there.
No, well,
I don't know.
you can be on the off 6 months. And then after
So
applications,
maybe we have a
like in
meeting,
January.
maybe we have. What, I'm thinking that twice a year might require us to have 2 extra meetings. Whereas just because the meetings
Well,
where we're reviewing
yeah.
applications,
No,
we're
I
just
wouldn't
jam-packed.
have it done at the same
And-
time.
can't- but maybe once a year, we have 1 meeting set aside for an annual
For-
update.
annual update, and
Or
then
2
maybe
meetings
or if
we
it's-
can't cover it.
for twice a year, could you take a written update instead of live and in person?
Yeah, because they have a whole calendar of events. And what they could just do is take that page and see, are they on track with their
Yeah,
proposed?
maybe, yeah.
That sounds good.
So if it's a twice a year, then have
It's only
like
been
a
eight-
written,
it's only
maybe
been
in
8
the
years already.
fall, winter, when we're kind of meeting regularly. And then in the spring, have live in person. Because June is when we're gonna be starting, right, to do these closeouts
Do these
or
have-
wrapping up the closeouts.
Does something like this have to be a condition? Don't we have the right? I mean,
You do,
clauses,
you actually thinking about the way the
Because we're the
contract's
bank,
written, yes,
Because we're the bank, to call them in.
that is part of the contract that,
So. I don't know if it necessarily, if we need to, what I'm thinking is if we lock it into a letter to them, it's making us do something on a calendar that we might not be able to keep. Whereas we could agree as we go along to set a time frame when we, let's get
I
a
see.
couple of them in here. I don't know.
Well, how about, that? If you're asking for a date to have the update submitted to Don Marie. Chairman, and then if it looks okay, then if there's a question about it, it's become. Because I'm thinking of, a conservation commission sometimes give the conservation agent the authority to make a decision without having to meet with the whole committee, and then, she just lets us know about it, in a certain thing. I mean, that kind of authority is given to people. That way you don't have to worry about, oh, we have to have a meeting in a real hurry here. Because some of them, annual update, like the, YD Red Sox get their thing up and it's done.
Right, exactly,
The update is
exactly.
finished.
It's up and running. I would stop by and watch that netting going up, and the whole project was done in 2 or 3 months, One day it was the brick wall, the next day the poles were in, and the third time.
Other things, even the conditions relate to the dissemination of the money. I mean, is there some schedule?
No,
Not really.
no, not in any practical way. It wouldn't be possible.
So the conditions are meant to be more, you must do this, like apply to CPC. You must use
The
certain
cedar
clapboard.
clapboard, yeah.
You must not pay volunteers. All the other stuff, calling them for a meeting, getting information, it can be.
It's kind of administrative.
No, that really sounds right. A condition is a requirement.
Yeah,
The updates can be
You
very
must do
simple,
this.
but they're showing that they're doing some progress,
Mhm.
and that's the whole purpose of it,
Yeah, there's some that really lend themselves to that. I'll give you an example. I've been waiting to hear about the progress of the weight of water.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
that interests me.
Yeah.
That to me would be an important thing for all. I haven't heard much, maybe I missed it, I don't know.
Well,
No,
Gary was always concerned that, we hand out money, and then sometimes it doesn't get spent for 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that was one of his main concerns. So that's why you're asking for upgrades, to make sure that the progress is moving along.
Absolutely, could be a mechanism for that. After a certain period of time, let it go down, say, hey, how are you doing?
And it does say that also in the contract, that if the money's not used at the end of whatever it is, the 2 or 3 years,
It's not a
it goes
special
back.
condition, it's just a-
It's a part of the
You're not gonna have
contract.
to ask for an extension,
Right, right. And if you don't ask for an extension, the money is reverted back to the CPA undesignated fund.
Twice a year, once a year, what's your? Facebook,
oh, I think probably once a year.
okay, annual. In 2 years, so we'll give them 3.
On Chase Brook?
Yeah.
I don't know where the status of that. They can't do anything.
I mean, we're still in permitting.
Yeah.
Um,
You can't issue.
We give them all.
Well,
You can't issue a bid document.
we can't issue a
You can't
bid
do
document.
anything.
We're not gonna do any bidding
Until July.
until July,
At
and
least.
then it would start in the fall, and then it will be a couple of years.
Gotta be at least
3 years.
Don't we give them all at least 3 years?
Well, like the YD Red Sox, you said 2 years, because it's gonna be up at the end of
Yeah.
this year, so,
They do their projects promptly.
yeah,
Yeah, so I would put that as 3 years.
3 years for the
Facebook.
Chasebrook Park.
And I would say the same for the Methodist. It's gonna take.
It's gonna
that's
take a while,
It's
yeah.
gonna take a while.
Just an annual report on the Methodist Church. Just a memo from them would be enough,
I would think so, yeah.
Very simple.
Mm-hmm.
An annual update or something for that. Use the same language in each of the letters.
Yeah,
on the
it's
letter.
kind of a standard
Yeah,
condition, yeah. Interpretive signage for the Historical Commission project. You could, Bob would come in and show you like mock-ups of the signs and everything if you want.
These are gonna
That's
be
an
done-
easy annual update to do.
I'm assuming that these are gonna be done probably one at a time and everything, and they were picking 20 out of 40 or whatever it was, so. Just an annual report on which ones have been done, which ones are gonna be done.
Are you talking about a date specific when they have to have the, percent?
I mean, we haven't had that in the past. Typically, it would be in the spring, like after town meeting, because like you said, the schedule of our CPC is that you're jammed in the fall for applications, then getting ready for town meeting, and then in May, it's a little pause. So it's a good time for updates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And traditionally, there were no meetings in pretty much June, July, or August.
Not when Gary is camping.
So,
Not when he's at the campground.
so in
Okay.
the historical commission, is that gonna take, no, it's gonna be done.
Wait.
The, sorry, the
sign it?
Revolutionary War Monument.
That will be done by
Let's see,
May of 2020.
So I'll have like an annual update, but
I need a historic signage. We're gonna give them 2 years, 3 years, 3 years.
About three.
3,
Let them work on it one by, one
Yep.
at a time.
and then we'll have a nice,
There, the war monument, let's hear from them once a year.
yeah, hopefully it's gonna be a big ribbon cutting ceremony or something when it's installed, right?
Yeah.
In July, so we'll have an informal.
Firewood.
There you go.
No, that's the bird season.
Yeah,
Can't do it.
No, we should do it over 6 days.
Oh, that's great.
yeah. Over the cemetery.
Yeah.
There you go.
Over the north side waters, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, ancient cemetery grave marker preservation, they seem to keep doing a really good job.
Good annual.
Yep.
But he pointed to us, his joint commission, that looked like they finished the work on that water pump. That
Oh,
empty-
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They were out there digging and everything,
Yeah.
looks like that got done.
Oh, yeah, that was when there was a
Mhm.
big, I think it was back in September, we
Yeah.
had like a ceremony and
Well, they're just doing
Dedication.
more construction there,
No.
yes.
Oh, maybe they're hooking up, are they hooking up?
There was a
It
water
could've been
main
the
break
water
on it.
line. Water
Last week,
main.
there was a water main break right in front of the
Yeah,
arch.
actually, water.
They were laying some brick around it or something, they were doing a little bit more work there, it looked like to me.
Not that I'm aware of.
When was that?
Let's back up to the war monument, give them 2 years or 3 years, they have to close it out.
3.
Who knows what could happen?
3 years. Because they have to finish the paperwork too. It isn't-
Right,
It
yeah.
isn't just putting up the monument, it's doing finishing. The cemetery. 2 years. Friends Meeting House. It's for an annual update. Give them, what, 3 years on the church?
Yeah.
Cultural Center, you would wanted to see the plans. I think that was, I don't know if anybody else knows how to read plans like that, but I know Gary would have been able to read them and make sure that they were, what the committee would find acceptable. I don't know if anybody else is.
We could ask the building commissioner.
We could ask the building
I
commissioner too.
pretend to know how to read.
You can read landscape
Yeah.
plans, right, Paul?
Very clear.
Yeah.
When he goes into makeup.
Mhm.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, the,
He's ahead of that.
oh my God.
Conservation,
Yeah, what's his name?
Ed Hoops.
No, before that.
Before
Sandy
Ed was,
Clark was secretary or
Brad.
whatever. Brad, thank you. Brad.
Brad.
Brad Hall, yeah.
Forget.
Debbie was asking about conservation
Yeah, so
agents.
it was before. Oh, no, I'm thinking.
I'm not thinking of members, I think she was asking about, administrators.
Administrator, yeah, Brad Hall.
Oh, yeah.
He was
I've
good
heard the
too.
name.
Yeah, he was. Pretty good.
I think it's not Kelly.
Kelly,
oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, she.
She's doing great.
Good.
Where is she now? She works, for Barnstable Land Trust and the Harwich Land Trust.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's,
She's the land acquisition specialist.
daughter worked in finance. Now she's an optician, a
Wow.
paralegal. She works with lawyers now.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah. Even though she got the letter of acceptance to the School of Optometry in Manhattan.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. She's done. Both my girls have done very, very.
Big job for you.
Yeah.
I put, the updated spreadsheet there in the middle of the
Oh.
table.
Right.
And I did add a footnote regarding Facebook Park. And that's subject to change. But I think I made the 3 changes and I took a quick look back at application. Did I got to screw up, Joanne?
Oh,
Oh, man, come back in.
What?
Oh, my God. You know what, I must have it.
6208.
I know, I looked at,
Ah.
well, you know what's crazy is your original vote was for
That's a shame.
62017.5. And you went through an amendment and a vote. to
Talking
make it
about the Red
62018.
Sox. It's really supposed to be
Forget it, hand it
62.
back in.
Zero.
Oh,
Hand
yeah,
it
right.
back in.
Why can't we just correct it?
because this, she's gonna fix the
No, I
spreadsheet.
can't, it'll kill me.
Read that.
Yeah, get that gone.
But I put it on the Cape Cod Times page too. I work for him. Yeah.
How about a time limit on the Cultural Center of Cape Cod?
Items, 3.
I mean, I think we can get
That's
the
right.
building
This is just-
commissioner to review the plans and
Yeah.
make sure that they're what,
This is just for the plans, if I remember. Yeah.
right, that's true.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
the design is all that the
That's-
grant
yeah.
is for. It's not the construction at all.
Okay, we do.
Maybe 2 years.
Yeah,
2 years?
2.
they'll tell you they're not done yet.
Is that what the grant for, just for the plans, not for the elevators?
Right,
No,
right.
That would be the next.
the elevator probably, God knows.
Yeah, we'll go, essentially, you have agreed to have annual updates provided by everyone. And 3-year condition to use the money for the Hands of Hope, the DY Station Ave Playground, Chasebrook Park, South Yarmouth Methodist Church, interpretive historic signage, Revolutionary War Monument, the Yarmouth Friends Meeting House. Those are all the 3 years. For 2 years, it is just the Whitey Red Sox and the Ancient Cemetery Grave Marker Preservation and the Cultural Center design of the elevator.
Right.
No, you know what, it linked. So when I changed it there, it changed there too. That's what,
Something good happened.
it better be. linked.
So, who would like to make that motion?
I think that the motion is written by you.
I'll second it.
I don't think there was anything else other than what has already been voted on, right? So it's just annual updates and 2 or 3 years.
Housing trust.
Typically, we don't because of the way that
Okay.
the trust functions. Right, right. That's why they get actually the twice a year update condition, because they've always got stuff hopefully coming and going, moving. All right, so moved by Debbie Clark and seconded by Joanne Crowley for the conditions as discussed. Favor?
Aye.
Right.
Any opposed?
Karen?
All right,
Motion? Adjourn, are we done?
No.
Oh, we're not done?
no.
Geez. Oh, yeah, you tell my insulin that.
As far as the committee reorganization, we just have, again, David Giancopoulos has not been sworn in, right? No, I haven't seen him on an agenda yet.
No, I think the historical commission meets on Thursday, the 13th. And I think they'll vote to recommend that he be on CPC. And then that has to go to the select board and they would need to approve. I guess, I don't know if they're meeting on the 18th. Be on board before town meeting, but.
And what's his name?
Too. David Giancopoulos. So he's been, you all have met him.
He has been here,
because
yep.
He's been he's working closely with Bob Kelly on the Revolutionary War Monument. So he's
Right,
on that.
yeah, I remember.
So
Yeah.
I moved to the historical commission. We just got, it looks like 5 responses, which is super exciting.
That's great,
Wow.
yep.
for the work.
Fantastic, huh?
Yeah, so we are, I mean, here's your little informal update. I do hope that we'll have a design, or at least a draft design, to bring to town meeting, which would be awesome,
Wow.
helpful.
More than helpful.
Oh, the discussion that was started regarding requiring an applicant to put up a minimum contribution
Oh, yes.
on the project. So I did reach out to Stuart at the coalition, and he did respond. Did everybody see that? That was in the packet
Yes.
that got sent. So it's kind of, I feel like he's saying the same thing that we came to the same conclusion in our discussion, is
Treated individually.
it's really a case by case basis, because you have apples to oranges if you're talking about a private group like the church versus a town project like a
Yeah.
playground.
Yeah, apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They can't be treated equally. Yeah.
what do you think, Lee?
Yeah, I think so.
By the way, Stuart Sagamore is most delightful to
You may-
talk to on the phone. Anytime you have a question, he's very thorough, he thinks it over, he gets back to you, and it's very similar to this memo, you know.
Yeah,
And if you ever have a question, you know.
he's the one to go to.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I had everybody send the legislation to CPA. You know, it's interesting because even the definitions tell you what you can do in each category, what you can't
Right.
do.
I was reading that.
Yeah, yeah.
I did print out the hard copies, if anybody wants a hard copy of it. Okay.
I really got bogged down in
Thank you.
the
Okay,
formula
yeah.
for how
You're
they
right.
match the state matches.
Oh,
There you go.
Yeah.
That was- oh,
You just say thank you. It's most helpful just to
Yeah.
have that to refer to. I mean,
She
that's
has.
it. Can we do this? Can we do? And
I appreciated that.
Gary had a way, especially with the cultural center, of sometimes you move from one category to another category, you know. we approved the in elevator
Yes.
because we was saving historically the outside
Right,
of the
yeah, I
building, you know.
noticed that in the-
Sometimes you have to think out of the box a little bit, you know.
Mhm.
Having this, is, quite helpful.
So that's good. Good info. And then I also included the draft of the annual report that's due to, the town administrator's office for, the town's annual report. This is our community preservation section. And there's still time if you notice any typos, or if you have any comments. I did include on the last page, even though it happened in January, I did acknowledge Gary's passing because, of course, there was time to do it because,
But I know he was working with you, when we say he had the accident.
yeah.
Thank you, John, for all the work you
thank
do.
You were,
On that one table has the typo on the ancient cemetery.
Good.
The 28283 needs to be 23, right?
oh,
283. And the 62018.
is in
Camera,
there.
217.5.
Karen, put the knives away, will you?
Are you?
I know what she drives, so.
Makes us look good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have meeting minutes. January 15th meeting minutes.
We're not gonna have any walks or dog racing,
Nope.
recreational.
No.
If it was dog, we don't want-
Any comments on the minutes? Otherwise I'll entertain a motion to accept 2025.
No, I wasn't here, right? Yes.
But did you read?
You weren't? I had you down as here.
That's when I went down in Texas. Maybe, no, I did make it, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
How could I forget?
So you wanna make the motion?
I went the next day.
And a second,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are accepted.
All right, does anybody have any committee updates?
I have one. I received a phone call from Carolyn Burnett, the lady that's interested in having a pool. I don't know what her application would be, but she was inquiring as to whether or not she could have a late application. I just explained the procedures, and I've always, and I have spent dozens of hours with her on the phone, trying to explain how it works. She's comparing how Yarmouth does it with how Dennis does it. And I said, well, every town is independent of each other. The future of the funds that's going to be available is going to be very tight. So I think everything should be done all together at the same time to make sure everything is even. I think we did an excellent job this year in making sure every application had all the attachments and everything was equal as we sat down and looked at them all and everything. So, your future may have phone calls from Carolyn.
Oh, she took me out.
Well,
for a coffee.
And I don't know what was behind her question. I don't know what kind of an application or for what, but one of the things in the legislation, under the definitions for recreational use shall not include horse or dog racing or the use of land for a stadium, gymnasium, or similar structure. So I would think that an indoor
Gymnasium.
pool is a gymnasium that has a pool, So certainly an indoor pool, I don't think would qualify, for CPA. I think having a pool in town is a wonderful idea. If she wants to know if people are in favor of it, she could also have an article at town meeting, a non-binding article saying,
Mm-hmm.
how did people feel in town, without it costing money, this money's gonna be tight.
She is resident of Groveland.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yep.
She is
Yes.
resident.
Yeah, to
Yes.
the neighbor.
I know she spends a lot of time with individuals, but she also spends a lot of time with this committee. She came back 3 or 4 or 5 times.
She came back to recreation. I can't even tell you how many times. We don't have the money for the indoor type of thing. I mean, I love what she's trying.
Not in the top of my
And I
head.
don't think she doesn't have the backing of the town either, so, it's, I don't know what was behind her inquiry, but she did inquire about late applications, so I tried to help her as much as I could. And on this Friday, at the Riverview is the, remembrance for Gary. It's his 70th birthday,
I know.
and it would be nice, Anybody else have any other committee updates?
I have one, the planning board had a meeting on, last week on the 29th, where we had outreach effort on the local comprehensive plan. We invited, people to come in person and, also via Zoom, to help us continue to identify important issues that we want to have addressed. And I unfortunately was unable to attend, but I understand it went pretty well.
A
Yes.
great turnout,
Turnout was.
great turnout. It had to be 60.
Oh,
Fif-
it was easily 80.
Because there were 40 on Zoom.
40 on Zoom,
Yeah.
and there was 4 breakout groups with at least 10 people.
Okay, so that's a
That's
great
how I
turnout.
get my 80.
Okay, yep, I believe you.
The only reason it wasn't on the channel?
Because it was really, really boring to watch. Because it was literally for over an hour, it was groups like this just talking to each other about. So you wouldn't have been able to like switch from group to group. That would have required like a bunch of cameras and microphones.
Yeah, because I was just
And the-
curious and I put out
Yeah.
channel 8 and wasn't on it.
And you couldn't get the Zoom either. That-
Right.
Or the
That's right.
remote.
Yeah.
So
You
it
can
was.
attend on Zoom.
I gotta leave later. so-
All right,
Okay.
thanks, Drew. We'll see you
Morning,
next
Drew.
Wednesday.
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
I
Well,
need
wait,
motion to
wait.
Wait,
adjourn.
Lee
Community
had something.
Housing Committee update.
Oh, sorry.
The Community Housing Committee and the Affordable Housing Trust met. When did we meet
I don't
last?
remember.
We met
21st.
the 21st and we are scheduled for February
29th?
29th. No.
There is no such thing.
Not this
No,
year.
That's right.
I can't
There
remember
is
the
every
dates
4 years.
offhand.
Yeah.
Maybe, what's the
February
Wednesday?
26th is a Wednesday in February.
Maybe that's the date. I'll have to- I'm sorry, I didn't bring any of that information with me. And that would be our second muck
Second month.
meeting. And I will also note, I attended, the LCP meeting on Zoom. And I gave my suggestions, which got misconstrued a little bit. I know the guy was taking lots of notes from everybody, but he only heard part of what he said, not the rest of it, so I'll send in some.
Yeah, send something in.
Yeah.
Send something to
Yeah.
Kathy.
And just so you know, like, I didn't say everything that was in our group the right way, but I
Well, I
typed
said
up
I
I
would-
typed up all my notes though and sent them, because I
Okay,
took more time, so
so
you.
I should send the notes to
What's this
you.
for the
You can
house?
send it to me if you like.
The
And
local
I'll
Basically,
send
like I said,
it to
I
Kathy.
covers
said what I
everything.
said.
Housing,
At our buckwheat.
recreation.
A dual partnership and you'll be talking
Because
about
I know I'm
yours.
on the housing.
Habitat, not
Not
the,
trust.
Okay.
We'll entertain a motion to
I did.
adjourn.
Yeah.
Second,
Second.
we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
All right, I will see you next Wednesday, 3:00. Yep.
I hope I can make it.
Okay, correct everything.
what time?